This is the all-new 2019 Nissan Kicks. It's the replacement for the Nissan Juke, and it's quite appropriate that it can't decide if it should be white or blue, because this entire car feels confused about what it's supposed to be. Instead of calling it Kicks, they could have named it the 2019 Nissan Identity Crisis. Nissan calls the Kicks a utility vehicle, but it's actually based on the Nissan Versa sedan. And like the Versa, you can only get the Kicks with front-wheel drive, which seems very un-SUV. And there's more confusion in here. This is the fanciest Kicks SR, and try as they might, Nissan couldn't completely mask the fact that this is based on America's least expensive car. There's this really strange and stark contrast between premium and really cheap. And it's not just centralized in one part of the interior, it's kind of all over. Let's start with the gauge cluster, where Nissan's included this really premium looking LCD screen, but then plopped an analog gauge from the 1990s right next to it. But even the premium looking LCD screen manages to remind you you bought a cheap car. If you look closely, there's a little digital version of the Kicks in there with these shapes around it. It kind of looks like you have adaptive cruise control and lane keep assist, but those features aren't available on any Kicks trim level. Those little shapes are just to represent the blind spot warning and the emergency braking. The touchscreen infotainment system isn't huge, but it does offer some premium features. There's a 360-degree backup camera, and it's compatible with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Likewise, the seats and dash aren't covered in real leather, but they look high-end and feel really nice. But if you continue to look around the cabin, you'll find more evidence of cost-cutting. If you gaze your eyes upward, you'll notice that there's no sunroof, and you can't get one no matter how much you spend. Look down and you'll see the cheapest carpet I've ever seen in a modern automobile. It almost looks like they made it out of rat hair. But keeping true to form, you can cover up that cheap-looking carpet with a premium carpet floor mat. If you're the front seat passenger in the Kicks, you don't get a center armrest. You don't even get a center console to lean on. Nissan has deemed the driver armrest worthy, but it's annoying to use. There's no adjustment for it. It's either down or fully up, which is a problem because the armrest actually moves with the seat. So if you've got your seat kind of at an angle like this, your right arm is way up and then your left arm is down here at a completely different angle, and it's just kind of annoying to drive like this. You can get the Kicks with heated front seats. That's a nice feature at this price point, but they make the strangest noise when you cycle through the two different settings. It's this clicking from behind the dash. It almost sounds like a mechanical relay from a car from the 1950s. Whatever it is, it's not exactly the sound of quality. Mechanically, the front end of the Kicks is just fine. Under hood, you'll find a 1.6-liter four-cylinder with 125 horsepower and 115 pound-feet of torque. Those numbers may sound small in a post-Hellcat world, but they're actually competitive within the segment. The only transmission offered with the Kicks is a CVT. And if you peek under the front of the Kicks, you'll find modern stuff like an independent suspension and disc brakes. But at the back of the Kicks, things get a little more ancient. Even though this is the sportiest version of an all-new 2019 model, it still comes with rear drum brakes. And if you look underneath, you'll find the same solid beam rear axle that the 1819 Nissan Kicks would have used. The driving experience in the Kicks is also a mixed bag. Nissan says the Kicks was designed for city driving, but they must be talking about a very specific city that I've never been to, because every city I've visited is filled with potholes and generally bad roads, and the stiff suspension Nissan's fitted to the Kicks is just punishing over those types of surfaces, as you can probably tell by my jiggly video. You'd figure since Nissan went to all that trouble to give the Kicks a sporty ride, they'd also take some time to sharpen the steering. But they haven't. The on-center feel on this is really vague, and you can actually turn the wheel a few degrees without really steering the car. It's like Nissan put the steering and suspension engineers in different rooms and then didn't tell them what the other group was doing. But there are some positives. This 1.6-liter engine actually feels more powerful than I was expecting. It's got plenty of pull for around town driving, and it's not bad for getting up to highway speeds. And I don't even mind this CVT. It's well behaved. It doesn't drone on like these kinds of transmissions did just a few years ago. And this drivetrain nets an impressive 33 miles per gallon in mixed driving. The Kicks also has some pretty good numbers when it comes to pricing. The base S model costs just $18,540, which is a couple grand less than the Honda HR-V or Toyota CHR. The Kicks also offers good value at the top end of the range. This is a fully loaded SR model, and it carries a retail price of $22,650, which is a few grand less than pretty much everything else in the segment. But you do have to keep in mind you get more with the competition, like adaptive cruise control and a sunroof. It may sound like I'm picking on the Kicks for being designed to a certain price point, but I assure you I'm not. I like inexpensive cars, I just don't like cheap cars. For example, I think the Honda Fit is a great little car, and it's $2 grand less than a Kicks. And one of the things I like about the Fit is how well balanced balanced this interior is. You don't get any super high-end features like a Bose in-headrest sound system, but you also don't get low-rent stuff like carpet made out of rodent hair. Not to mention, you can get the fit with adaptive cruise control and a sunroof. So there it is, the all-new 2019 Nissan Kicks, a new small crossover thing that I can't quite figure out. The Kicks has some stuff going for it. It's well priced, it's got some premium features, and it doesn't use much gas. But Nissan cheaped out in some places, and you can really tell. If you're on a budget and you just have this burning desire to join the utility vehicle craze, then the Kicks might be the right vehicle for you. But if you can see the Kicks for what it really is, a hatchback that's just slightly higher, you're bound to find better alternatives.